understanding is we have Ben Jacobs on the line. Ben, are you there?
I am. Hey, Jim.
I thought it would be great to kind of follow up the almost theoretical discussion that we had at the beginning, where we talked about, okay, where do companies find themselves? Why are they stuck? How do they get started? That kind of thing, and talk practically with some examples about how other companies and partners of ours that help companies do that, you know, with some real world examples. And so I think I'd like each of our guests to maybe introduce themselves when I pose my first question to them. And so, Ben, if I could, I'd like to start with you. Maybe start by telling us a little bit about yourself and about Encamp. But my first question to you is really goes back to kind of the discussion that we had at the beginning, which is, how do you get started? What's that first step? In other words, what was keeping you up at night and what sort of pushed you over the edge to actually talk to, in this case, Trava in the first place and get you off the mark and get you started on your journey?
Yeah, thanks, Jim. So thank you for teeing me up there. As you said, I'm Ben Jacobs. I'm the VP of Engineering at Encamp. We are a software startup with roots in Indianapolis, although now we're fully distributed. And we operate in the environmental compliance space. So we're a platform for businesses to understand and comply with different regulatory burdens that they have in their environmental space. And yeah, to that question of how and why we got started, I joined Ncamp at the beginning of 2020, and you know, was working on building out the kind of core product and the technical team, and was doing, you know, what I kind of thought was right from a general best practices standpoint in terms of what I thought of as just security at that point. I come more from a development background, not as much from a infosec or security background, and where things really started getting a little spicy was we had even as a very small company, we had landed a large enterprise prospective customer who was asking some very pointed questions about kind of our security posture, and wasn't quite as satisfied with my you know, gut assessment that things were basically okay. So
Trust me.
yeah, you know, so, and they were asking me questions and using acronyms that I had never heard of. So I was, you know, between writing a lot of code, also trying to furiously Google what the heck they were even talking about. And so our initial engagement with Trava was really at a very tactical level. What do we need to get in place in several weeks in order to kind of meet the bare minimum for this client and their requirements, and then make timelines for how we were going to implement on that plan. But once we got over that initial hurdle, it was clear to me that we didn't want to be in that reactive posture anymore, and that it was going to, you know, becoming an expert in all things cybersecurity was probably not the best use of my time, as I was also, you know, trying to do a bunch of other things in terms of building out the engineering organization. So I would say the motivation was to try to, first, I didn't, at the beginning, I didn't know I had a problem. And then, you know, found out the hard way and had to react quickly. And then after that, knew that this was not a one-off situation. You know, our customer base was turning more and more upmarket, and we wanted to have both a kind of security posture that we felt good about, but also one that was defensible to these larger customers. And that was, and the only way that was going to happen was to really take a comprehensive, zoomed out view of the program overall. So yeah, that's kind of where we got started, Jim. Yeah.
That thanks, Ben. That was great. And so one quick follow-up question. You know, we described the general situation earlier
Hmm.
in answer to the question of why don't companies, be more proactive in pursuing this? And I use the term negative inertia. Do you feel like once you, kind of took that first action and overcame that initial negative inertia that things just became easier or more natural to move forward and progress?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. Um, I would say, once we as an organization started investing a little bit, it became clear that this was an ongoing need
Mhm.
uh, for time and energy, to the point where, about 6 months after we started working with Trava, I was able to get dedicated headcount for kind of infosec needs within the company, and we really, we wanted to commit to that. I would also say that some of it is, this is certainly not universally true, but once we started putting some of the groundwork in place, it became more natural to think, know where the kind of where our blind spots were, and the patterns of thinking about risk, that, even if we were kind of unsophisticated at the beginning, we were at least, we were now in a territory of like known unknowns, and that's easier
Right.
to start breaking into an action plan, rather than just, the big scary dark sea out there.